Hi there, welcome to today's content, which is looking at agreeableness. So agreeableness is a construct of how much you are willing to hear out another person, agree to what their demands or needs are, whilst also not really giving voice to your own needs, to your own wishes, and especially how you feel in the interaction with other people. Highly agreeable people want social peace. So they want social harmony, social peace in relationships, and for there to not be minimal conflict or no conflict at all. And so they are willing and perfectly able to self-sacrifice depending on the spectrum of agreeableness, but highly agreeable people, they are willing to self-sacrifice their own happiness, their own needs, in order to avoid huge blow-ups, conflicts, disagreements, or tensions. Here's the challenge. The more agreeable you are, and the more you repress your inner voice, the more you repress any other frustrations or problems, anything of that kind of thing, the more you will hold on to internal resentment, which can later come out as any form of aggression, blow-up, but most commonly with highly agreeable people, they have it in passive aggression or avoidance strategies. So, why do highly agreeable people do this? Is often they feel through a lot of repetition and through childhood and things like that, that they can't really speak up. And they're terribly, terribly afraid to speak up against any type of discomfort. They're afraid that it might upset people, that it will upset the relationship or status quo and cause any type of ill peace with other people. So how do we intervene on this level? Is we have to understand that they need to work on assertiveness, boundary setting, and saying no, saying how you feel. So assertiveness is to step forward, assert your voice, speak up about what you really need and what you really want. And really start getting very, very comfortable with upsetting people. You are going to upset people, especially with truth. Truth hurts people, not you. I always say this to people, is that truth upsets people. But the measure of a person's tolerance is based often on how much truth they can tolerate about themselves. So the more we are willing to tolerate truth, the more we are willing to really look at and introspect about the mechanisms within us that need to die in order for new, more constructive patterns to build, to grow, to be birthed. So if you have a highly avoidant person, a highly disagreeable person, they're not going to want to hear a lot of truth. They're not going to want to hear a lot of what your misconceptions are about them or truths are about them, because it may upset a sense of well-being, it may sense or a sense of reality testing for them as well. So it is important for agreeable people, highly agreeable, to work on speaking their truth. That is one of the best strategies to start building this assertiveness muscle, to be slightly more disagreeable. So we have the other side of the agreeable spectrum, which is a highly disagreeable person. In that, when you are highly, highly disagreeable, you are not as interested in understanding the other person's perspective. It is more about your needs, your wants, and how to get there. So where there is danger in that is when you have a highly agreeable person and a highly disagreeable person. Remember, we're all on a spectrum, so it depends where you score on that percentile. Is when you have both of those, they come together and you have the highly agreeable that will self-sacrifice their needs and the highly disagreeable that will want to win a lot. And so you have that type of energy field, which can be quite one-sided. It can go into one sphere. The highly disagreeable person will have to work on more active listening, a more empathy, understanding and reflecting on truth and behavior, of how the other person is perceiving them, and seeing how the other person feels in the interaction, how we can negotiate better with others. Remember, relationships are co-created, even if it's with a boss or a co-worker or a sibling, with a lover, anybody. It is co-created. So co-creation, what does that mean? Is we have two worldviews that come together and two narrations of how the experience between the two people are being experienced. Healthy dynamics requires that both are willing and able to actively listen, to really look at how the other person is perceiving my energy, my investment, and how we manage conflict and disagreements. Highly disagreeable people are more interested in fulfilling certain things for themselves than to listen to the needs and wants of others towards a shared goal and towards a shared objective. Now again, we all have levels of disagreeableness and agreeableness, but if you are on the extreme of being highly disagreeable, then you'll be more in this cluster of folks. The highly agreeable person has to work more on assertiveness training, on speaking up, speaking about your truth, and getting very comfortable with being uncomfortable. What does that mean? Is you have to start to tolerate that people are going to be upset with you and allow that tension to emerge so that people can get upset either at what you're saying, what you're evoking in them, or something in the relationship where you feel, okay, on some level, you're going to rock the boat because we need tension in the system for things to shift. How many times have you seen a film or watched a movie where there's a lot of tension on a specific characters and they separate, or there's a breakup, and then later they come back together and they are able to re-look at things in a different way because there was so much tension that forced the dynamic to do something about it. So, in assertiveness and in looking at how we can speak more of our truth, we have to look at how you are willing to tolerate people disliking what you have to say and allowing them to hear it and not rescue the situation, allow them to sit with it and to do something about it, because it's important that highly agreeable people understand that their voices, their wants and their needs are so important, that your voice is so important. Otherwise, what is the point of being in a relationship if you cannot speak up, if your voice and your needs are not factored into what you want and towards a negotiation and a bargaining process? So we need to bargain with other people. That is a more egalitarian type of relationship where both people are able to co-construct reality towards a shared objective or towards mutual beneficial parameters. So I want you guys to think about that. Think about if you are on possibly a more middle ground of agreeableness or disagreeableness, which is highly negotiable. So you could look at, if that is the case, if you're in pretty much in the middle, then how would that impact in your interactions? Or if you could work on being more agreeable, as in listening more, active listening, empathy, implementing all those things towards shared outcomes and thinking about more in-group thinking towards shared objectives. And then if you are highly, highly agreeable, then you would need to work on speaking up. The more you speak up, the more you speak about your truth and get comfortable with being uncomfortable in social situations, the more you will grow this muscle. I just wanted to add to all of those of you who are struggling with being highly agreeable because you want social peace and social harmony, is just to remember that it is short term, it's short-lived. If you want healthy relationships, you need to put enough pressure on the system to reconstruct a healthy foundation with mutual reciprocal investment, hearing and learning, active listening, and problem resolution. So you need to be able to withstand the tension temporarily and surrender the outcome to the other person to reinvest and to re-listen and all those things in order to get the long-term outcome that you do want. If you do want that and you want to work on that, you just need to start practicing to speak up, tell your truth, and just allow the process to fall as it may. If there's not investment on the other side, mutual listening and all of that, then you can start to see and observe how much investment you want to put into a dynamic where it's a lot about you pleasing another person to create temporary social harmony and peace. All the best.